everyone. Welcome to the Film Buds podcast. My name is Henry.
And I'm Chloe.
Just kidding. I'm Chloe. And that is my padre, Dr. Gary Strauss. Welcome to the pod, Padre.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's just the two of us, but we're missing a key component. Can you figure out what it is, Padre?
Henry?
Yes, it is Henry. So Henry is such a busy boy. He just did an interview with the band Potty Mouth, and you can find that interview on the Music Buds now, but it was a pretty big deal. Took a lot of preparation. Henry does so much anyway. So joke's on you all. Clobo's in charge of the pod this week, but you might not expect. You might have thought, oh, well, she's gonna review every Timothée Chalamet movie, including the ones we've already done, really going over the looks he's serving, the haircuts, chatting that up with my dad, because that's pretty normal to do. But no, we, in fact, are going to be talking about two movies today, both retros, but what isn't right now, that have to do with viruses and apocalypses and all that stuff. But don't worry. It's not one of those, I don't like you watch crime stuff, but I do not like true crime, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I do, because I think I like to know how they. Didn't
you watch the OJ trial and then call them about?
I did. Yeah, they made some mistakes. I called the prosecution to tell them, you're making a big mistake about what happened, about how the blood was handled.
Oh, you know a lot about that.
Yeah, they were trying to say, the defense was saying that the cops took heparinized blood.
Yeah, we all know what that means.
Drawn.
Yes. We all watched
anticoagulated.
We all watched the trial of O.J. Simpson or whatever that was called. If only Sarah Paulson knew you. Am I right? Now I'm like empathizing with Henry a little bit. Okay, understanding what it's like. Okay, having to move stuff along.
Things to do.
No one knows. Okay, so anyway,
don't get me started.
Why was I talking about O.J.? I don't know.
So this is not fiction,
right?
What's happening to us now is not fiction.
Oh, no, I was talking about true crime. Oh, God, this is... Okay, Papa, let me do my job. This is going terribly. We're just getting warmed up, everyone. Don't worry. No, what I was saying was, you like watching true crime stuff.
Sure.
I don't like it. Makes me very sad. So this is not like an indulgent, did you know, Contagion was crazy popular recently because of the pandemic and the quarantine situation, all that. So people are watching that, perhaps looking for, movies are to communicate and understand and feel things and know that other people are feeling them too. But the problem can be, and you know this about me, I have qualms with and I can be a little unfair about, which historical fiction stuff and such I can get behind. But overall, it tends to make me very irritated, I think, if it's not done stylistically or whatever. But so this is one of those cases, I feel like, where a lot of people don't have maybe the best guidance or information accessible to them. And we look to movies to cope and everything. So just want to make, so this podcast is a movie reviews, obviously, but also in that vein, we're going to be talking about the truths and the truth nots of these movies. Right, Padre?
Yeah, some disambiguation.
Yeah, so really quickly, fast version. Okay, I am understood. This is an out-of-body experience. I see the man in the mirror right here. I now know, but give us and you have a lot of them, but give us the very quick version, the relevant credentials for you.
Sure. Well, I was born a scientist.
Okay.
I experimented
what did I just say?
When I was a kid.
What did I just...
I can be quick. Oh
my God.
So, okay. Well, I attended the University of Vermont Medical School. I instead of going into clinical medicine, I took a research degree in medical microbiology, which includes the microbial agents that cause infectious and other diseases.
Like virus stuff.
Virology is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I minored in immunology. Then I decided to take another doctoral in genetic toxicology.
Yeah.
And was invited to...
Which means if people can become zombies.
And was invited to do that at Sussex University in the Medical Research Council.
Yeah.
The MRC is equivalent to the National Institutes of Health here, NIH.
Okay, that's wonderful.
But at the moment, I'm working on COVID, on a vaccine for one company, on a therapeutic for another, and also am working on a better test to find out whether people have been exposed.
This is his audition tape for, I was going to say for The Apprentice, but that takes on a whole other level of bad joke. And if it sounds like I'm being mean to my father, like low-key I probably am, but also we have an understanding, right, Padre?
Yeah, my CV's too long.
He got me.
I'm also old enough that I have a long CV.
Yeah, you also have a long draw when you talk, but mine's very fast, so we make it good.
Speak slowly.
Yeah, we even out pretty well.
Yeah.
So in any case, so basically we watched the movies the last couple of days in order to review them because especially since I've talked a lot of crap about one of them over the years. And then additionally, we're going to dissect them as far as fact checks because that is really important to me. And hopefully y'all can maybe glean some knowledge from my wonderful Padre because it's a crazy and confusing time. But it's not about like dwelling in the sulk and the misery. You have some hopeful things to say, right?
Oh, sure.
Zombies are impossible.
Always. No, that's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about zombies. Don't worry, Will Smith's dog. You are safe. Okay. So the first movie we're reviewing, Will Smith's going on the back burner. Okay. First movie we're talking about is Contagion. So here's a clip.
We have 47 cases and 8 deaths as of 5 this afternoon. It's a weekend. These numbers might be low. People are staying home for a couple of days, see if they get any better.
So at this point, I think we have to believe this is respiratory. Maybe fomites, too.
What's that, fomites?
It refers to transmission from surfaces. The average person touches their face 2,000 or 3,000 times a day.
2,000 or 3,000 times a day?
3 to 5 times every waking minute. In between, we're touching doorknobs, water fountains, elevator buttons, and each other. Those things become fomites.
Is this something we want to release to the press, respiratory and fomites?
And how's the public going to react to that?
Hard to say. Plastic shark in a movie will keep people from getting in the ocean, but a warning on the side of a pack of cigarettes...
We're going to need to walk the governor through this before we start to freak everybody out. I mean, we can't even tell people right now what they should be afraid of. We tried that with swine flu, and all we did was get healthy people scared.
Wasn't that a great clip? Am I right?
That was great.
Yeah. Okay. So Contagion, Henry, you're great at your, when is it written? 2011 did it come out? I'm doing a terrible job already.
2011, directed by Lawrence Fishburne.
Absolutely. I was going to take it out because of my long pause, but that's totally worth it. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, but I love it.
Yeah.
He was the director of
He was the director, yeah.
The director of the CDC, not the movie, but
movie.
I love it. Okay. So yeah,
funny. Okay.
like Papa has declared, Contagion came out in 2011, directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Z. Burns, which is, it doesn't sound like it sounds like a AOL name, which I quite like. Do you think I feel like his email will be like feelzburn@gmail.com. Okay, anyway. I'll email it and see if it's him. Okay, it stars so many people. I'm probably going to forget some because as we talked about, I didn't say what it was about. Healthcare professionals, government officials, and everyday people find themselves in the midst of a pandemic as the CDC works to find a cure. For IMDb, that is pretty good, pretty on point. And it also sounds like today. Well, not the government officials part, I guess. They're not working for much. But in any case, it stars so many people. I'm going to forget some because IMDb doesn't put them in an order, even though you're all important and wonderful. So no shade there. But it stars, Papa, I don't know if you know this, stars Lawrence Fishburne,
Yes.
Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, Matt Damon. I'm doing this from memory, so I'm going to screw up soon.
I'll fill in.
John Hawkes. Marianne Cotillard, Kate Winslet. Did I forget anybody?
Dimitri Martin.
Oh, how could I forget our favorite person? We were both so we have to be clear. You and I watched both of these probably around the same time, a long time, years ago.
Yep.
And we loved Dimitri Martin, so we were very excited about that. And then that lady that I can't remember, the one who sticks herself, she's famous, but
Regina
sorry,
Hall
lady.
was in it.
Oh, yes. Bryan Cranston, Elliot Gould. I mean, the list is crazy. I don't even know if that was Regina Hall. I might have made that up. But anyway, so many people. Sorry if I left you out, but you're famous. You're fine. You're doing great. Ignore me. You probably are anyway. Okay. So, how do we begin? How do we begin, Papa? Is that where we should start? What did you think of it?
Well, I thought
First, just entertain, like as a movie, maybe. I don't know. Do your thing.
overall it looked fairly realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was so full of errors.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was bad the first time I watched it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
For one,
and it went downhill.
Just for
didn't
starters,
it?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the story didn't hold together it could have been told better. But what bothered me right near the start was one person who should have known better, an expert virologist, said that viruses are alive.
Oh.
He referred to viruses as being alive. They're not alive.
No. They require
Viruses are not part of life.
They're like vampires. They need they need some of that
They only do something when they're inside a cell.
Yeah.
So they basically
Edward Cullen's only creepy when he's inside your house while you're sleeping.
They take over a cell and use the machinery of it to reproduce. And they do that very well.
Well, that is a thing. It's my, to most people, but my biggest thing as far as, because we're talking about inaccuracies portrayed and stuff, nobody wore masks. Like, none of the healthcare professionals were wearing masks. It was crazy.
When they wore them, even doctors and nurses on wards weren't wearing them correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You could see air spaces.
Tell everybody real quick, I'm not reading any of you buddies. I just want you to know, because everyone's selling masks and stuff, because of, capitalism and stuff, but a lot of them aren't good. So what are the couple things we need for good masks to know that you are being safe?
Okay, there's only really a couple of things you need to know about masks. If they fit properly, and they can't work if they don't fit properly.
Then you will smell your bad breath. I know this from experience.
What you will notice is, if it's a good mask, hold it up to the light. Mm-hmm. If you see a lot of light coming through, it's no good.
No good.
You need a very, very small pore size. It can admit some light, but not much. And, telling of all is, when you have it in place on your face, it should be harder to breathe.
Yeah.
It should be somewhere between 40 and 60% harder to breathe. Mm-hmm. It should interfere with your breathing.
Like if an elevator opened, there was Timothée Chalamet, I can't breathe, right? I can. Black Lives Matter.
You could breathe in and probably not get enough air. Yeah.
And it will probably smell like wet dog. I brush my teeth twice a day. I floss.
I don't think people notice their own breath very much.
I do.
Really? I don't.
Yes, it smells terrible.
I wore surgical masks for 5 years when I was in school.
Papa, you don't have a sense of smell.
You're right.
It got lost in a chemistry accident,
in high school.
Okay?
Yeah. My sense of smell is down to probably 10% or less.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right about that. Anyway, that's the thing about masks. Just make sure it should impair your breathing.
The light thing is really good for people.
Fairly great extent. The light thing is easy to tell.
Yeah.
And
also, last thing is you got to cover that schnoz. We love to see y'all's beautiful schnozzes. You got to cover the schnoz. I see people walking around, they cover their mouth, they don't cover their nose. I said, what are you doing?
No,
even if you have a deviated septum, some stuff is still getting in there.
There's more virus in the nose than in the mouth.
Also, pro tip, right, is eyes. We don't know.
Yeah. We don't know that, but I believe it's safe, much safer to wear eye protection. I think a full face visor is best. Yeah. That's what I use.
Yeah. Or goggles.
We don't know if the virus can get into the body through the eyes, but I think it's possible.
Okay, let's go back to the movie now.
Okay. So
you got your little notes. Yeah,
I don't think I really need them. Once I write something down, I usually remember it.
Okay, well. Lawrence Fishburne.
When I looked at that on my notes, I saw Lawrence Fishburne was the director. The problem was he wasn't the movie director; he was the CDC director.
In case y'all missed that,
and I don't know movie directors very. I know a few like Marty.
Oh, Marty, I love that.
Well, his cousin, is my cousin's, who's a dentist. He's my dentist cousin's, not partner, but they share offices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the most Jewish sentence of all time.
Nah, that's because I was confusing myself, but.
Okay.
Yeah. And it reminds me, Contagion, I mean, anyone who watches it now will be reminded of what's happening to us right now. And there is quite a bit of accuracy in the way they portray how the virus is contracted, how it spreads, how contagious it is. That virus supposedly was really very, very contagious and virulent. They didn't know what to do with all the bodies. It was much, much worse than this one.
Not that this isn't
the way they
terrible.
Portrayed it. This one is much, much worse than the Spanish flu or the 1918 pandemic virus.
That one is like movie bad. Corona, COVID-19 is like real life bad.
It's really bad. It is. This current virus is worse than the Spanish flu was. We have better methods for treating now.
Technology is much better, yeah.
But if you'll notice, all you have to do is look at a 100-year-old picture. Those people were wearing the same mask we're wearing. And it was protective, and it was very useful once they realized what was happening.
Yeah.
But we do know much more now about how viruses work.
Yeah.
And we know how to make vaccines.
Which is kind of the annoying thing about this movie, right? They did a good job with the scary parts, and they did a terrible job with the reaction. Like, it's like, oh yeah, viruses. Like, let's do that, right?
Yeah.
So they did a good job with that. But the reactions by people, which is because I'm me and salty, emotional, whatever.
You're watching people.
And yeah, I care about... Yeah. I care about people.
I'm looking at the science.
Yeah. But like, so it really upset me in a way, but also made me really happy to note the tremendous differences between what they were saying would go down in, or what went down in their version of reality as far as people's behavior and, quote unquote animalistic behavior, because, which is, that very interestingly, and this isn't the podcast, but it's so interesting. I urge people that about more than I do, but you're why I know about it all, is like people say like, we go back to like in times of trauma or like, violence in that way, like with a pandemic, a virus, or whatever, people go to their animal roots and stuff like that, which I'm doing my little bunny finger. I always say bunny ears over here. But like people always say like animalistic, quote unquote, right? But most animals they function as tribes, as units. Like
they're social. Like
they show apes or whatever. We never talk about bonobos. Bonobos, okay? We're as much related to bonobos, okay, And they just love a lot of love, but still, okay? So it makes me, my thing with the portrayal, because the other thing is this movie's filmed like steady cam or shaky cam, whatever, like all that kind of handheld, blah, blah, blah. Like it's clearly trying to be hyperactive. Also, we know Steven Soderbergh, like, you know, he's hit and miss for me, but he's, you know, not that I'm not, but I'm not up his tush, you know, I deal with my own, but he's a little up his tush. He definitely is like, this is like, blah, 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 look what I'm showing here. I just completely disrespected the portrayal of the disrespectful, a double wham, you know, portrayal of how humans would act in this. And it's not even a matter of the fact that, like, again, it's like the virus, it was like 24-hour whatever, like everybody's getting it, like blah, blah, blah. But the behavior started before people knew what was up, really. And, like, the idea that people would just trample each other, like, look, we know we got our other stuff going on in here. In some ways, it'd be better if everyone was trampled equally or whatever, okay? But the point is, I don't like, especially in a movie about biology and, like, you know, viruses, as it were, and they have a bunch of those stupid cliche lines about like people are more deadly than, like, the most deadly virus is mankind or whatever the crap, right? It's like, which is true about the planet, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like the lines about like what Jude Law was saying, like, what was it? I don't know, rumors or whatever are more deadly than the virus. I'm like, no, that's not true. But in any case, so I'm proud of us.
Conspiracy theories cropped up.
Yeah.
When it came to how they would handle treatment or prevention.
But, like, that's always going to be there, and I get, like, that part's pretty true to form as far as life. Like, I mean, we see that what did he say? To drink Clorox or some crap? I don't know. You do it first. You do it first, then I'll do it. Okay? Trumpy. But in any case, but I just, yeah, I've said it enough, but it bothered, you know me, I yelled during when we were watching. I said, people don't do that. But that made me kind of happy, you know? Because the majority of people know that Black Lives Matter. The majority of people want healthcare for all. You know, like this kind of thing. It's not a matter, this was like, if the only people, okay, this is like post-apocalyptic, the new planet, and the only people who survived through that apocalypse were the people who go to Walmart on Black Friday and trample people. Like, that's a small group of the population. They're showing it as everyone. And that just drove me bonkers. Which is good. So that's like, yay, us, you know? People are looking out for each other, doing what they can generally, you know? So that's good. I appreciate, in contrast with the movie, that in real life we see that hardship does, and, you know, a lot of us know this from just our personal lives anyway, but, like, hardships do not make good people bad. They make good people realize their worth and potential and be the best them they can be. You know what I mean? And same with bad people, but who cares about them? Not me. I care about all you good people, you know? I also care about the bad people, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, what's next? That was my biggest thing. So now you run down your little...
Well, they did a portrayal of the symptomatology, for instance, and all that was...
I don't know what that means. Having symptoms, but fancy person?
The symptoms were similar to what we see now with COVID.
Okay.
They're also flu-like symptoms, which is almost always the case.
That's the annoying thing about COVID and everything. It's always the same things.
They did that. I thought they did that fairly well.
I'm just glad we're not bleeding out of our eyes. But it would help in some ways, because that's obvious, you know?
Well, that's...
And you told me that's a real thing. I had no idea.
It is. That kind of hemorrhaging is end stage. This particular, the virus they were dealing with, they called it KV. I don't even know what that was supposed to mean. The K virus, I guess. But supposedly the whole course of the infection from first to last, you know, from inoculation to death, was something like 24 hours. I mean, it was all very accelerated. Yeah. So they didn't have... They really didn't have time to react.
Well, now there
was no treatment going on.
Now, this is something interesting that you have actually been on the other side of, as far as Marianne Cotillard's character story. She was the one where they were like they were in Vegas looking at the freaking blackjack tables and stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about
That was for contact tracing.
Is
They were
that
looking at the
how
videos.
y'all did that? Is that how that do that? I should say, is that how that
That is
works?
not how that works. That's ridiculous. If I could see it, if this were a better science fiction-y movie, if they were trying to find out where,
If this were interstellar level,
how a vial
yeah,
of the
a weapon,
bioweapon is what I was trying to say. A bioweapon
yeah,
was transferred between people. That would be great.
yeah,
Like if she had a vial and she was selling it
that'd
to
be great.
someone.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. But as far as contact tracing, that's not at all how it's done.
No,
The way it's done is the way I learned about it when I was in school, because I had to.
well, it's just a waste of time in this case, right? And resources. They wouldn't be wasting their time and resources on that.
That was, I don't know why they bothered with that. That was not realistic.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, it's done when I taught in medical school, and I taught microbiology of all things. And one of the
Of all things.
one of the labs,
Nobody listening understood why that
one
was
of the labs
yeah.
I taught was about STDs.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually did a lab on how to do contact tracing.
Embarrassing. Did you set it up like Jerry Springer?
No, that happened to me in a different way.
What?
But
Uh-oh.
I won't go into that.
Please don't.
No, I don't want to.
Oh my gosh, I've
But-
never heard this story.
Well, one of my problems is I'm too honest.
What the heck?
Well, if you ask,
Are you about
If
to
you
tell
ask
me
for
that
the
I'm not your kid?
no, you are.
Dang it.
But
Okay.
anyway, the way contact tracing is done is the same way that contact tracing, for a virus like this, is the same way it's done for sexually transmitted diseases. Only it's easier in that case.
Oh yes.
So this is much more difficult. This is a question of, did you hand something to someone
Mm-hmm.
after you were probably contaminated?
Yeah.
Did you speak with someone, in a intimate way? Did you yell at? Did you yell at someone? Were you in a crowd?
Were you in a Broadway show?
It's a big mess.
With Jonathan Groff?
It can't be done. I might as well say this right now. It can't be done.
Say it.
Proper contact tracing can't be done now because we don't have proper testing. There are over 100.
You mean for COVID?
For COVID, there are over 100 PCR tests for COVID.
What's PCR?
It's the
Preliminary.
polymerase. It's RNA, but we don't need
Okay.
to. We don't need to go there. It's just the test for the virus
Yeah.
in the mouth or nose. That's what virus testing is right now
Yeah.
for infection.
Mhm.
If someone's infected, they're going to have some in the saliva, and they're going to have a lot more in the nostrils.
Mm-hmm.
If it's had time to go further into the respiratory tree, then
Breathalyzers.
then there'll be symptoms:
Okay.
cough, dry cough, fever,
In any case,
all those things.
but at this point, they wouldn't be wasting their time on tracing, right?
No, that was a big silly.
That would have happened if it was a really slow moving, like maybe something like that, or like you said, a bioweapon or whatever.
Yeah, if they were
but,
trying to find how a bioweapon was moved, they
but
might
it's just
do that.
stupid,
No, there was no. It made no sense. I don't know why they did
useless.
that.
But now you did like how they showed the animal deforestation. These two bats being like, "What the heck am I
They
gonna do?"
did an amazing thing, I thought,
Yeah,
that nobody would understand. The first time I saw it, I'm not sure I even know.
a little sassy there, a little bit
Not sure I
prone
even
with
know.
my intelligent audience, but okay.
Well, if we're thinking about climate change
Mm-hmm.
and deforestation,
Yeah, I don't remember if that was in it or not. Was it?
Deforestation is the reason.
I know. I mean the movie, but okay, yes. Continue.
In the movie, deforestation. No, in the movie.
Okay.
They showed them knocking down trees.
And that was the best part of the movie.
Well, when they knocked the trees down, bats flew out of the trees. And that is something that happens. If a wild animal, it doesn't have to be a bat, but bats are very common.
They're the most populous animal on Earth.
You're right. Bats are.
They're surprised you sounded.
They're the most. What do you say?
Populous.
Populous, I guess, is the right word. There are more bats than any other mammal on Earth.
I know I said
right
that.
Now.
Continue.
No. Yeah.
So then the bat ate a little something, dropped it to the little...
The bat is carrying the virus, and it's displaced.
Because it doesn't do anything to the bat. It's just something the bat has. The only reason it transferred anywhere is because the bat lost its home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bats are good carriers. They're actually asymptomatic carriers of the virus. And the reasons for that are complicated.
Nobody cares.
I won't go into it, but it's because of their immunological makeup.
And vampires. Yeah.
In part. The other reason is because they hibernate.
So like me.
What happens is their body temperatures are more extreme probably than any other animal.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but that's my guess. I think it's a good guess. When they hibernate, their body temperature goes...
incubate those
The body temperature goes down almost to ambient temperature. So if they're in a cave in the winter...
Yeah.
In some caves, the temperature, if it's deep enough, would be
like
in the
refrigerator?
50s. However, bats can hibernate at a temperature near or even slightly below freezing and still be fine because their metabolism drops so much. When they're flying, their metabolism is extremely high to support the energy it takes to fly.
It's like you and me equals a bat. Sorry.
A bat's body temperature, core body temperature when flying, goes up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That's high enough. Yeah. So the virus can remain in the bat and be viable, viable in the sense that it can be infectious.
Yeah, it can be brought to life.
It's not, it can be in that pseudo life.
Voldemort.
Virus is not part of any kingdom of nature. It's not a plant. It's not an animal. It's not anything.
Oh, that's sad. Maybe it's just hurt, Never tried talking to a virus.
So anyway,
but you like that. So then the
bats are excellent carriers.
Okay, so don't go around kissing any bats,
It's
Meredith.
not just the coronavirus. It's flu viruses.
Yeah. Okay.
All kinds.
Yes. So then it went to the pig.
It ended up. They showed the bat. They actually showed a bat fly.
Yeah.
To a fruit tree. Because these are fruit bats. It picked up a piece of fruit and it dropped it over a pig pen, and a pig picks it up.
Yeah.
And it gets into it infects the pig.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah,
People eat the pig.
Yes, and not to be high horsey over here, but also we all know how I am, and I got it from you and my mama. But also, this movie, in that way, warns against factory farming as well.
Oh yeah.
Very much so. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
And not just because we're Jews and don't eat pig, and because you and I happen to be allergic to it. Maybe we're more evolved. Who knows? But we're not. I have extra teeth, and we've been over that. But that's a thing as well.
They're too densely populated.
So the idea of a virus and everything is very scary, even though it's happened throughout history and everything. But we can do what we can do as much as is possible by helping make sure the environment is sustained and healthy and everything.
Yeah, these things are all preventable. Don't displace bats. For one, don't knock down their...
Let's make that a bumper sticker,
am I right?
Don't knock
down their habitats.
Don't displace the bats. And don't be like my sister and be obsessed with bats and love on them and stuff. Really weird. But anyway, that's a personal thing. Okay, so what else are you feeling about it? Now, I thought there was way too much... I don't know. I feel like there was too much interpersonal stuff. My thing with this movie, you choose to make this movie... it's known. Like, it wouldn't take much research to have known that there would be another epidemic or pandemic in our lifetime, kind of, right? And also, it's kind of whitewashing, pun intended, because like HIV/AIDS still exists, which is also a pandemic. Am I right?
It's an excellent point, because HIV is an RNA virus, like the coronavirus.
Yeah. Which they brought into this freaking movie for some reason. That was really annoying. That kind of thing really bothers me, because, you know, it really affects people's lives. Like, don't talk about HIV when it's all fictional, because you're trying to piss me off saying that you used HIV to pop it. Okay, keep going.
Well, HIV is a little more difficult than this one because it mutates more easily. This virus, it looks like it, you know, we're finding different strains, but they're not so different that one vaccine can't take them all out.
So that's really good.
That's very good news.
That's great news.
Yeah.
You had me really worried about that.
Well, there are some other, I also have some bad news.
Please don't.
Which I can or not mention.
How bad is it, 1 to 10? Do you have good news with which to follow it up?
I think people deserve to know what's
Okay, lay it
going
out.
on.
Lay it out.
You know, the fact that we do need to encourage the distribution of true information, you know, of facts. It's important. It's important that we demand
only like the alternative
of
ones.
our so-called leaders that they do what's necessary to fix this. And they can, but they can't. You know, theoretically they can, but right now they can't, because
yes, preach, Claudia Conway.
The people at the top aren't even admitting that this is a thing, that this is even happening.
Yeah, which is the same as climate change, because they're only thinking about their immediate. Yeah,
true.
So, in any case, the point I was making before is, with a movie like this, you choose to make it. Like I always say, they nominate to make it, to put it out there, right? And I reference Interstellar all the time, because like they got Kip Thorne. Like, I know it's a whole different ball game, but like everything they talk about is, well, they do climate change stuff too in that movie. Like everything they say is plausible, right? Yep. So that's the difference. The work went into that, right? And it's almost more important to me in a movie like Contagion, because it's so relevant. Because like I was saying, with any access to anything, they should have known. It can be very evident. It should have been evident when studying virus, you know, this kind of thing, pandemics or whatever, that this made sense to come up again. This wasn't like total sci-fi.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that way,
this was entirely predictable.
Yes.
This coronavirus was entirely predictable.
Yes.
The one that they used in
KV.
Contagion, the KV virus, resembled mostly the SARS. They used the word SARS.
Yes.
And
which was also in your lifetime.
And fairly accurate. I was in your lifetime too.
Nah.
SARS, the first SARS were not.
My bat mitzvah's next
that
week.
Serious.
I wasn't around.
Well, they were. I guess it depends on how you want to define pandemic. They weren't really widespread. They were. Mm-hmm. They were found or not. They just weren't that severe. Yeah. They didn't affect that many people.
It's like Pluto.
Or infect that many people.
It's kind of a planet, right? So, yeah.
Well, we've heard of SARS. We've heard of MERS, which...
Ollie Murs,
which
for
started
Film Nutter. Our 2 British listeners will love that.
It started with a bat that went to a camel.
How fun.
A human being caught it from... I think you told me you heard that it was from camel spit, because camels spit.
Well, I guessed that because I got spat on by a camel.
Well,
and it ate my hair.
That is very likely.
No, a llama. I can't.
That's probably how it happened.
Yeah,
but
they got great eyelashes though. Them and Elizabeth.
Well, that's why it was
That's embarrassing.
the Middle Eastern respiratory.
Okay,
syndrome.
Gotcha. So my point is, overall, there's no excuse if you're choosing to make a movie about something that is very real, impactful. You know, it has influenced it's touched in terrible ways a lot of people's lives, not to mention livelihoods, blah, 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 right? So, like, there's an air of responsibility, I think, which is something I talk about a lot. Yep. So that's why this movie kind of offends me, because it's supposed to be also, it tried to be like, what's the word? Is prodigal the right word? I don't know. Like it knew it, Like how I was perceived in middle school in my English class, Oh, you know everything? Perfect. But I did. But, sorry, Stephen. So anyway.
Well, yeah, they could have done a better job. They could have done a service to humanity.
Yeah.
Without reducing any of the entertainment value.
Talk about real quick, because it's supposed to be the pivotal moment of the movie, when she done stuck that thing.
Yeah, well.
Because this movie takes place basically from Thanksgiving to Christmas, which is extremely short. That's not the timeline is not it. Am I right?
Not accurate?
Yes. They found out
they were
Gwyneth ate her sushi on Thanksgiving, then they had a vaccine.
Yeah, they were portraying this as a highly virulent and contagious virus. It can be one or the other, or it can be both. And the one they're talking about, and incidentally, COVID
can sing and
COVID-19 is also highly contagious and highly virulent.
Yeah,
and the pathogenesis. They didn't go into that very much. They showed people have seizures because they were having nervous system effects, and they showed people foaming at the mouth because of their breathing was stopping. But they didn't really talk about the clinical effects of the virus. It just apparently went through people really fast. So as far as the vaccine, we don't know much about the genesis of that particular vaccine.
Nobody cares about that. I'm talking about.
Okay, well, just to get hit the high points, and I'll talk about what's happening right now at the same time. There are a number of ways to make vaccines. There are now more ways to make vaccines than there were when this movie was made in 2011, because now we can make a vaccine from RNA.
Very cool.
Of a viral RNA.
Talk about I Am Legend there, am I right? A little bit?
Yeah. Well, that was that was 2007, but they weren't using that kind of technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that kind of vaccine can be made very quickly and can be commercially produced very, very quickly, because it's made in a vat and it's just letting nucleic acids reproduce. And let's see.
I zoned out.
And produce the proper peptides for a vaccine.
Okay.
Anyway, it's possible to make a vaccine quickly now. There's a major problem, though, with testing. You can't just
because we need to reference in the movie what we're talking about.
All right.
So the lady that is famous, I can't remember the name of, but she plays the sister in that movie with Chloe Grace Moretz and Sasha Lane, gay conversion camp movie. She was not a nice lady. Anyway, so she is a researcher, right? I guess with Dimitri Martin, right?
Yeah, she worked for CDC.
Okay, and they had lots of vaccine things, blah, blah, blah. And one monkey, she gave it to a monkey, and 2 days later, monkey was still kicking, right?
Yeah, all the rest were dead.
And then what did she decide to do? She want to be Jesus. She decided to stick herself in the upper thigh with the thing, not knowing whether or not she had anything, right? Not that but I know.
It probably wouldn't have mattered if she was already infected.
But then she went to the hospital, got her dad to cough on her. If I ever tell you to cough on me,
that was a really stupid thing. What you do is much more simple and effective. You draw some blood. You got to wait a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. You can do it all under a microscope.
I would say at least. You draw some of your blood.
Yeah. Okay, but also I'm talking to the wrong person, because you did a lot. You used to draw your own blood all the time, walk around blood, kind of crazy.
Most of my cancer research was on blood.
Yeah, your blood is weird. Like, you did a lot of that. You experimented on yourself a lot, which is not really allowed.
And that's probably worth discussing in this context too, because what the woman did was unethical.
Exactly. Even you went to, not even you, no shade. You're basically,
experimented on myself.
You're the nice version of House, okay? That's what we're all getting at, okay? So sometimes you're like, a little on the edge as far as ethics and everything like that, okay?
No, I was a lot on the edge in some places, but never affecting anyone else.
You never would have done what she did, though. That's crazy.
I have an HIV vaccine in my refrigerator right now.
Yes.
And if I knew someone...
Yes.
Personally.
Absolutely.
Who had AIDS, not just HIV, but who actually had, and was therefore terminal, most likely, I would, I would inject myself. I would inject myself.
To make sure you didn't die.
Just
because they didn't talk about
to make sure there was no immediate side effect.
They didn't talk about that in the movie either. What a vaccine can cause.
They didn't go into any adverse reaction.
They did a way extra job in I Am Legend. But the point is, a vaccine isn't just like you solved a math equation. It's like, ta-da! Like you have exactly what you need. It can be very...
It depends on the vaccine. So if it was a peptide vaccine with a small peptide, small chain peptide,
likelihood is it'd be fine.
It would probably be safe, because what you can do is you just get on the computer and check for homology with anything existing in the body. You want to make sure that
you get lots of interesting Google results. Probably
do what?
Nothing. Keep going.
You just want to make sure that you can tell by doing a data, looking in a database, whether that peptide might do damage to someone or to people, and eliminating that, it's probably safe to test. But to test, you need to, it's a phase 1. You need to...
You're never going to stick yourself in the leg because a monkey lived for 2 days and then go get your dad to cough on you. And then somehow tell Lawrence Fishburne that like, yay, this vaccine is perfect and will work on everyone.
All she had to do...
And she didn't even know, because Matt Damon in this movie was immune. She could have been immune.
All she had to do...
Monkey could have been immune.
That's true. The proper, like just off the top of my head, the proper thing for her to do would be to give Dimitri Martin some of her blood and say, would you check my serum against the virus?
Yeah. Does
my serum affect the virus? Does it kill it? In culture, in a proper... viral culture with mammalian feeder cells. And they would know that, they would have an answer to that within 24 hours, probably less. Then if she doesn't have antibodies, that means she hasn't been exposed and she's not somehow otherwise, which doesn't happen, but otherwise immune.
And we're not...
Then she injects herself. She doesn't go see her father.
Why would she ever inject herself, Papa? She wouldn't.
But she did.
Yeah, but you don't do that.
Well,
a researcher.
I'm saying if you're gonna do it, I already told you I would have done it. I had a plan that I would, because for safety. I haven't, I wouldn't expose myself to HIV.
We all love a spot of martyrdom. I get it.
Okay, so then the next thing she does is, I'm just telling you how to do a simple experiment that would be right, that would be correct, would give good information. Then, so say she does inject herself with what she thinks is a vaccine.
Yeah, because she wants to be a hero and get Nobel Prize and crap.
So she waits 2 days. She doesn't go see her father who's dying and purposely infect herself. She doesn't do that. What she does is she waits 2 days after injecting herself with the vaccine, draws the blood, gives it to Dimitri Martin, who looks in the serum for antibodies against the virus, again, like he did a couple of days before. If the vaccine is effective, there should be some, maybe a small amount, but there should be some antibodies against it in her blood. That would prove that the vaccine probably works.
Well, this kind of brings us to our next thing, and to move it along as well. In this movie, the biggest thing, and like I've seen it lately and stuff that everyone is obsessed with in Contagion, is Jude Law's plot line, which I don't know. his accent had its own plot line, okay? He went from being from Surrey to being from South Africa I do not know.
We couldn't figure out where,
oh my
where
God.
he came from.
Okay. But in any case, his whole thing that all the articles lately are talking about is like, Contagion does a perfect job of exemplifying blah, blah. You know, my least favorite phrase, timely. Okay, I hate that. All these things are going on literally all the time for other people, like HIV AIDS.
Well,
you just don't know.
Let's just say,
you ain't paying attention.
To your point, Contagion is misleading for what's happening today.
Well, yeah, but that's not even what I'm talking about. Because in this case, that's okay, Papa. In this case, it is accurate, but it's not surprising. Because as far as Jude Law, because his whole thing is he's kind of a conspiracy theorist, whatever, give or take. Because
he's a blogger.
Well, yes, he's a blogger, but more so. But so he's a journalist. He calls himself a journalist, whatever. And I don't really have a problem with him overall because, like, a lot of stuff he's saying is true or is a blind spot, kind of, not a blind spot, a blurred lines and everything like that. And in the movie, they just are like, oh yeah, he is basically evil because he's trying to make a ton of money, lying to people, whatever. I think he believes what he's saying. And the reason he can is because in this movie and now as well, I'm not saying it'd ever be a perfect situation because it's a very difficult thing, obviously. But communication with the public is key. I hate movies that talk down to people. I hate people that talk down to people. I hate governments that talk down to people or lie to them or whatever, right? So the way that Jude Laws of the world, the alternative fact, like Alex Jones, whatever's, can be, you're never going to stop them from thinking what they think probably, but you can really put them on mute or whatever, drown them out by like giving all the information, whatever, because the whole other thing with this movie was like, and the thing he was right about was like the whole idea of like, what's that expression? The rich people don't have to pay for anything, which I've seen firsthand. Like that's true. Like Lawrence Fishburne gave it to his loved ones first, whatever. Like that's just kind of human nature and stuff like that, right? But then like Kate Winslet's job, like a lot of their jobs in this movie are to like kind of like skirt around like the press secretary kind of thing. Okay, you know what I mean?
Well, don't forget the therapeutic. For Cynthia?
Yeah, for Cynthia, which you knew was a yellow flower. Like, yeah. But that kind of thing's very real and like...
Well, that's like hydrochloroquine.
Exactly. It's all stupid and...
It's nonsense.
Right? It's nonsense, but...
There's no reason to think it would work.
Exactly. And I appreciate that they put that element of human nature and everything in this story, but the way that it comes about, which is true, and it was probably the strongest part of the movie, like they're saying in the... articles and stuff, but my bigger problem with that is coming up, which I'm sure everybody expected I had a problem with because I have a problem with everything. But I appreciate that they're showing like people will always try to find somewhere to go. So if you don't lead them, they're gonna find a new leader. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like for Cynthia, like they'll try anything. So like you just gotta give as much information as you can. Which obviously, if we all knew earlier, just wear masks. Even now, it's oh God, annoying thing like we're masked or not, but not even just here, like in the UK, which is like, you know, all that crap. But my point is, I'm glad they highlighted that kind of thing because that is very real, right? People always coming up with fakakta things of like whatever. But what this movie did to discount all that good work and storytelling and everything, I think, was back to the researchers. Because that, too, was all based as far as they told us, and they use lots of big words. So I'm not saying that they have to go through every which blah, but when they're walking down their hall using their big words that only my dad knows, like, okay, so you're giving this nonsense time, but you're just saying random words. Instead of, what is that word? What's that thing that always gets people, what's that whole thing with, the phone calls and the Mueller thing? No, not Mueller. Post Mueller, the whole thing with the phone call, and it was all what kind of hearsay, whatever. Like because her thing, she was like, oh yeah, I poked my one human being, which I'm not checking if I have immunity or whatever, but I'm gonna poke myself. You coughed on me, I'm fine. Let's make this vaccine. So that has, to me, just as much. Well, what am I looking for? not validity, but like proof, validity, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's equating it with the Jude Law thing. It's like you might as well roll the dice as far as what works. But that's not how it is, because contrary to what this movie shows, it's not like a miracle, whatever. It's like a lot of work and time and energy goes into it, which is why it tends to be so slow, which is really frustrating. But you need all those clinical all the human you need all of that, right?
Yeah. Well, there wasn't a voice saying, this is not how you make a vaccine. This is not how you test it. This is not how you produce it.
Yeah.
And this is not how you distribute it.
Yeah.
They got all that wrong.
Which is just so annoying, because that is the part that you do already know. Like, that part exists already. So they put all this energy into the virus stuff. The only thing they got right in this freaking movie was that people would be having prom in their living rooms. You know? George
Washington vaccinated the word is inoculated, his troops against smallpox in 1770.
Yeah. The point is it dumping around, I guess, right?
We know how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I think they forgot when they made this movie.
Yeah. And so that's my problem with the writing, which is obviously what this movie is based around. I think is obviously it's not supposed to be like beautiful. You know, it's not Call Me By Your Name over here. Okay. It's not supposed to look a certain way, but it's all about the story and blah, which is very Steven Soderbergh anyway, like dynamic. Look how
we knew
blah,
that.
Blah.
We knew that before the movie started because of all the actors who were in it.
Yes.
They were very heavy on famous people.
Now that's a good point. But
and the story just wasn't there, and probably the actors who read the scripts
maybe only got their parts. That seems like something
they wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
About the inaccuracies.
Yeah.
And this, all the important things that they didn't say.
Yeah, and it just wasn't. And then all the like Matt Damon walking around because it's just dumb. Like, okay, you can be. Can you actually? This is something I don't know. Can you be immune and still be a carrier?
Yes.
Okay, so they just left that part out.
Yeah, they didn't know. They should have wondered.
Yeah, I mean, so all in all,
in fact, Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, my favorite drag queen.
Typhoid Mary was an Irish immigrant who came to this country in the early 1900s.
She was probably very nice.
She probably was, but she was very, very mistreated. She was put in prison I think she was in prison for 14 years. This
is the movie I want.
It's really awful. I know a lot about it, but because there are a lot of important lessons there. But she was an asymptomatic carrier who literally...
They think she was a witch or something?
She was a cook. She worked as a cook. They put her in prison for 2 years. Mm-hmm. This was on one of the islands off Manhattan. Mm-hmm. They put her in a prison. I think it was otherwise like a mental institution or something. They put her in the prison and just isolated her there. And eventually, probably a lawyer helped her make a deal with the state of New York Public Health Department, and she agreed never to cook professionally again.
Oh, man.
So they let her out.
Yeah.
And she got a job as a laundress, making $20 a week.
Uh-huh.
But as a cook, she could make $50 a week. She was probably a pretty good cook. So
special ingredient was
she went back. She changed her name.
Okay. To Typhoid Susan.
And went back to her name. I can't remember her real name now. Mary Bain or Mary Brown or something like that. Anyway, so she went back to cooking and killed more people. Not intentionally at all, but it was just transmitted in the food. The typhus was transmitted.
This story is wild.
It's salmonella. Salmonella typhi.
She had salmonella in her, and she was giving it to other people.
She was unusual because she's
like Rogue.
She had ex-woman. She had it. It was sequestered in her gallbladder.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
I believe it.
On her autopsy, that's what they found, that she actually had gallstones that were infected with salmonella, but it didn't make her sick.
Yeah.
And they never, they weren't able to figure out why not, that she could carry it, but she didn't get sick. But she spread it around like crazy. So she's the most famous asymptomatic carrier ever.
Dang, the original Monica Lewinsky over here, am I right? Ugh, no justice. But that is the last thing we should say.
She was mistreated, so when they caught her cooking again, they put her back in jail for
my God.
For the rest of her life.
This lady just want to cook.
She died in jail.
Well, what a happy ending.
At a young age, 40s, I think, early 40s.
Well, the last thing I'll say, talking about her.
But she didn't die from typhus.
No, she didn't.
They think she died from a stroke or something of that sort, which could have been related.
That's
but
much better, isn't it?
We don't know.
But the last thing to say about that is you're saying they couldn't have done that. But now, the good thing is, and again, we'll kind of talk about more with I Am Legend, weirdly, that is more accurate as far as what I'm about to talk about than this movie, which apparently prides itself on its accuracy.
I found I Am Legend far more compelling because if you can overlook some of the glaring problems, otherwise there were a lot of consistencies with reality.
Yeah.
So I like that.
It was you could tell because also in Contagion, you had I've talked about this before because I'm annoying too. You're always like, oh, that. You had no idea what was going on, what was going to happen next. In I Am Legend, you were like, oh, he should blah, blah, blah. And he did. So that is pretty fun.
I couldn't figure Contagion. I still don't know what happened.
Yeah, they didn't say.
They didn't. There was
a total injustice. Am I right?
There was no ending.
They made it seem I think it was I don't think it wasn't an Inception deal. Like I think you were supposed to think at the end, like, oh yeah, it's all worked out. But that's crazy.
Well, are we at near the end of talking about it?
Oh, we're at the end.
Okay. let me just name a few problems that I saw.
Okay, lay it out.
Just because it's kind of funny. And I won't make it long.
Wait, but let me say what I totally forgot. What I was going to say was where I Am Legend more accurate than this, which is a hopeful note. It's with Typhoid Mary. They didn't have the technology to be like, I hate to be gross, no pun intended, but like dissect the situation. Now you can take like with COVID and everything, they had you and scientists and everything have the ability to look at it compared to not it and try to work from there. So in a lot of ways, we're in a better place than when Typhoid Mary Brown
we
suffered
have far better information if the
science is hope
allows.
Science is hope.
Yeah, but so I'll just tell you a few things.
So, Papa's about to read this movie. Okay,
viruses are not alive, and the containment they used when they were working on it in the CDC labs was wrong. It should have been a level 5, not a level 4.
Oh yeah, that made you really mad.
This would have been the worst virus ever to exist.
Yeah.
Outside a bioterrorism lab, and I don't think there's such a thing as biowarfare. It's only bioterrorism.
Preach.
Yeah. Well, I could go on, but I won't.
Barely such thing as war.
They weren't wearing visors or goggles.
That was crazy.
There was a very good chance that this virus that they were dealing with would get into the eyes.
That's what happened with Kate Winslet. She wasn't wearing crap around anyone.
Yeah. L.A. Gould was looking through a microscope he did have a big visor on because he was in a level 4 containment. And like I said, it should have been 5.
He also broke the rules, but like you would have done that. That's not that big a thing.
How did he break the rules?
He wasn't supposed to keep. They were trying to. They said you got to show your thing is too dangerous, even though it's level 4. But he kept working with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, he kind of cheated.
He couldn't.
Anyway, he couldn't possibly have looked through the oculars of that microscope.
Yeah.
With that visor on, his eyes were too far away from this.
You
microscope.
Look so happy right now. It's because my dad loves microscopes, so you're literally giddy talking about this. Okay.
My father gave me a microscope when I was 7 or 8,
and my father gave me an accordion. So that's that.
What?
You gave me that accordion, that red, white, and blue accordion.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I don't think there's any comparison.
Well,
I wasn't trying to get you to be a musician. So Kate Winslet says that Matt Damon is safe to other people after being in quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no way she could have known that based on what they showed.
Yeah.
There's no way they could have known. He was probably safe in that he probably wouldn't become infected.
Sure.
However,
not safe to be around.
There's no
real
proof
Mary.
that there's no
Yeah.
proof he couldn't carry it around and spread it.
Yeah.
And they showed who's Bev? Oh, Bev is Gwyneth Paltrow. They showed Bev spitting on the poker chips in that scene we were talking about.
She wasn't spitting. She was blowing on them.
All right. Blowing. Okay, fine. But she was getting her aerosol virus all over the chips, which is what they thought got the virus spreading around. Why they thought she was patient 0, I don't even know.
Because she was eating sushi, but I guess the sushi had pork, and so she ate the pig.
There were plenty of other people around. She was near that. She was near the market where that pig would have been sold, like the Wuhan problem now. I'll go very quickly, but what happened in Wuhan was they had a cage of bats. This was a wet market where the animals are alive.
Yeah.
They have them in crates.
Yeah.
At the top of the pile, bats. Below the bats were...
armadillo.
No. Now I'm not going to be able to think of the name of it.
A different animal.
Oh, heck.
Yeah, penguin.
Pangolian?
I don't know.
Oh, crap. Now I can't think of it. I'm sorry. But anyway, they had chickens under the bats.
Okay.
And they had...
you were trying to think of the type of chicken?
No. I'm trying to think. There's an... oh, jeez. It's an animal that's looks like an anteater.
Okay.
It's...
Aardvark. That's an anteater.
No, an anteater is close. It's close to an anteater phylogically.
Something like that. Keep going.
Phylogenetically. But anyway, the Panacin...
Abba. It's my fault. I shouldn't have brought us back.
Okay. Anyway, the cages were all piled up. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the
trickle-down effect.
It's kind of the... literally. It's mostly... It would be urine, mostly.
That was my joke.
Maybe feces, yeah. But... that's how it got into the pig that she ate. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was fairly accurate.
I know we said that was the only thing we liked about it.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with the bat.
Yeah,
and how it spread, how it got started. That was accurate. I don't know how they came up with that because that was very good. But then they just dropped the ball on all the rest of reality of how this works.
Yeah.
So overall, I didn't...
You totally lost your train of thought. Okay.
I did not enjoy this movie.
Yeah. Papa's got a long list of reads, but we're just going to keep on skipping ahead. So basically, all in all, Papa, what would you give this movie out of 5? Oh, can we say one more thing? Probably clear it up.
Well, let me just say a couple of other things.
All right.
They said that in 1918, and this was... I think it was a slight underestimate, but they said in 1918, 1% of the world's population died. I think it was more than that. But in this movie, they said a quarter of the world's population had already died before the movie even ended, when there were still plenty of people in America still alive. So I thought that was sort of interesting. That forsythia was a snake oil drug.
Yeah.
People, and then
that's not a read. We know.
Okay. So anyway,
out of 5, what are we giving it?
Yeah. Okay. So out of 5.
Yeah.
I would say it reminds me of going into a movie. Mm-hmm. And
Meta.
The movie starts up and it looks like it's going to be okay.
Ad Astra.
But within 10 minutes, the film breaks.
Oh.
And instead of even splicing it like they used to in the old days, they say, sorry, folks, we're not showing this movie tonight.
Dang.
And but how that feels is about how I felt when I
and they spoil the ending, so you can't go watch it again. They're like, oh, but if you want to know, blah, blah, blah happens at the end, right? Yeah.
That too.
Okay.
Or they might have said, well, it broke, but you know what? This movie wasn't worth watching anyway. Go get your money back.
You're not getting your money back. Oh my God. Okay, yeah. So I give it oh God. Okay. So I give it when the somebody different than the usual person makes your green monster smoothie, which is what I get from the root cellar, and this wonderful woman, she always makes it. She's fabulous, okay? But somebody else makes it, right? And they put the wrong stuff in it. It's called a green monster, so you can tell if they do it wrong, it's gonna taste bad. And when you sip it, ugh, and you don't have time for anything else for the day, and that is like
bad taste in your mouth.
Oh my! It's like if you licked celery off of a flagpole is what it tastes like when it's done wrong, but it's so good when it's done. Yeah, and then you're already on your way to your next thing, soccer game. You can't go get another thing.
I'll just say one more thing about Contagion. Just one little thing that I thought of.
Yeah.
When I saw that the nurses and doctors, some of them weren't even wearing proper protection.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a Michael Moore podcast, and just earlier today, and he said, "We're no longer a first world country if nurses have to wear black garbage bags for protection."
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
So I just wanted to...
We haven't been for a long time. Ugh.
Inject that into this conversation.
Oh, good pun. Things have gotten so bad that, yes, I'm voting for Joe Biden. Congratulations. It's been done to me. Okay. So, but then we're going to keep pissing on him until he does anything decent. So, okay, anyway. Next, Papa, we're going to talk about something completely different, but also very similar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So next thing we're going to talk about is the movie from 2007 called I Am Legend. Here's a clip. Take a listen.
Gotta pay attention, okay? Gotta pay attention. Listen, I want you to stay here on this one, okay? Because you can still get infected. And I can't. So look, if I'm not back by dark, just go.
Okay. That was another great clip, right?
Oh, that sounded fine.
My guess is that it's Will Smith talking.
Probably.
Two people in the movie. Okay. So in I Am Legend is, now this cast I think I should be able to get pretty well, right? 2007, directed by Francis Lawrence, written by some Jews, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Mark Protasevich, Akiva Goldsman, based on the book by Richard Matheson. Interestingly, based on a 1971 screenplay by John William Corrigan and his wife, maybe? Joyce Hopper Corrigan. Wife or sister? For you, it's the same person. You married your stepsister. So perfect.
That is true.
So this movie stars, as I said, Will Smith, Alice Braga, sorry to her, Charlie Tahan, who's like still around, Sally Richardson Woodfield's in a little bit. We love her. Will Smith. My biggest qualm with this movie is why Will Smith made his baby daughter be part of the disaster apocalypse where her dad. You know what I mean?
She was about 4.
Yes. Can you imagine? Because at that time, your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. And she's in this terrible... I don't know why he did that to her, okay?
I like her name.
Willow? Yeah.
Willow Smith.
You also like her character's name, Marley, named after Bob Marley, because you did the same thing with my sister. You named her after Bob Marley.
That's right. And in the movie, Will Smith plays Bob Marley music and explains how he named his daughter.
After Bob Marley, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so this movie, synopsis is from IMDb, right? I don't know, I don't care. Years after a plague kills most of humanity and transforms the rest into monsters, not all the rest to be fair, but anyway, The sole survivor in New York City struggles valiantly to find a cure in this post-apocalyptic action thriller. He's not the sole survivor. Hey, the dog didn't get a credit. Where's our dog at? Oh, there are two dogs. Also starring everyone's favorite, I would say, animal from anything ever. Starring Abby and Kona. Both playing, they're like the Mary-Kate and Ashley of German Shepherds playing Sam the dog. So, Papa, what did you... We watched this movie a long time ago, but I haven't seen it for a while. So, what did you think of I Am Legend?
Well, we watched it a long time ago, probably not long after it came out. Probably watched it on DVD. Yeah. And I did not remember it. And the reason I didn't remember it is because some aspects, important aspects, were a little too outlandish for me.
You got confused with the Pelican Brief, first of all.
I did, which I thought was a great movie, but I didn't. I'm not good at keeping track of stories.
Well, to be fair, we both remembered the end scene, to be fair. And I remembered a lot of it. But in any case, that's kind of neither here nor there. But I should say, I've said this once in a while, Padre, you shouldn't mind me mentioning it because it's like a superpower. You have Asperger's, which makes you, I think, a very good scientist. And the other side of that coin is you hate movies with like zombies and vampires and like I don't know how you feel about werewolves.
I don't like werewolves. I prefer, I think the best science fiction is based on reality and stays very close to
Interstellar.
What's possible. I like H.G. Wells and writers like that because they were prescient. They were smart enough. Aldous Huxley did that too. They were smart enough to anticipate the future. And sometimes very accurately. And I really enjoy people who can do that.
It's very impressive.
Yeah. And even if they're wrong, at least maybe they're close.
Like Freud. No shade, don't at me.
Yeah, it took a while for that kind of psychology to be used correctly.
And you too, how about? You've thought of stuff. Just got to take a minute to toot you up here. You... are so visionary and everything. Not even when I was born, when my sister was 7 years older than me, 31 years ago. Did you know she was 31? I had no idea. Because I can't do math. We're only 7 years apart. I thought she was 30. Then Mom was like, no, you'd got it. But anyway.
Well, you're always going to be 7 years younger.
That's the assumption. So, in any case, 31 years ago, you took my sister's stem cells, popped them in a little mini fridge, at wherever, Durham Regional or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But
she was born at Durham Regional, and I just took him over to Duke.
Oh, so in any case, you're a visionary. You see stuff way before.
Well, and yours too.
I know that 7 years later. Okay, 7 years less impressive. That's what Gemma says about me all the time. Okay. So in any case, you have that ability too, which maybe is why and that's just one example. There are lots, but maybe that's why you revere these kinds of stories so much, in addition to the kind of black and white deal with it all. In any case, so now that we have that out of the way, Papa hates zombies and honestly, things are so crazy right now. My anxiety is everywhere, as you know, like as it should be, I guess, rationally. I was genuinely relieved when you told me that it is basically impossible for zombies to like that kind of virus, whatever, is not a thing.
That kind of zombie.
That kind of zombie.
I can think of some ways you could actually make a zombie.
Please, okay.
That's what some people have tried that.
Ew, what? Please don't. I don't want to know. Please don't tell me. Okay.
No, separate matter. But the what happens here is they called this virus KV. Did I say that about the other one? I got mixed up. The other one was an H1N1.
Like the piggy? Oh, yeah.
Like an influenza. Okay. H1N1. That's what they said.
Okay.
It probably had another, some further. It was a SARS.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, because it caused a respiratory
Yeah.
syndrome. They never showed that. They didn't show anyone on a ventilator.
That's what's so annoying. You can't use real stuff and then half tush it. You know what I mean?
No,
I'd rather have a zombie movie.
The people who were hospitalized,
Yeah.
they weren't receiving the proper treatment.
No.
If that's the kind of virus
Yeah.
it is. They weren't in intensive care.
I know it. I know it, Padre.
So, but anyway, this one was the KV for whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the kill rate was 90%.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, the ones who didn't die, became these weird monsters.
No.
Yeah.
No. Monsters, and then the ones who stayed peoples got ate up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So some percent. All right. So another percentage became monsters, and then those monsters ate the rest of the normal people who survived.
I think the assumption is like you turn into a monster, or
Oh, okay.
you stay normal and they
Well,
eat
Will
you.
Smith,
Yeah.
he didn't know why, but somehow he was immune to this virus.
And also in this movie, he is a virologist, much like yourself.
He's an army doctor. He's
Yeah.
He's a colonel in the medical corps.
Just like my grandpapa.
Yes. And
Yo, daddy.
Yep. And he just happened to be a virologist.
Yeah.
So he was equipped to try to discover
Yes.
a treatment or a cure. So that was interesting. But these monsters,
Mm-hmm.
that whole premise was just a little too far, and really the basis of the story, a large part of the story, is Will Smith fighting the monsters.
Well, we kind of like that part. That part's kind of fun.
I think it's fun. But
And you were
can't-
right on the same
can't
page
take
as him.
Can't take it seriously.
But now, the interesting thing, if we back up, is Emma Thompson's only. Oh yeah, they left Emma. There's only 5. They left Emma Thompson right on. But that's because she's only in that one thing in the beginning,
Yeah.
talking about how she. Oh no, I'm gonna forget the measles.
Measles.
Apparently, she took the measles.
Yeah.
Now this is right up your alley.
Yeah, it was measles.
Took the measles, engineered it, and then said it was a cure for, I guess, all cancers. Apparently, and then
it was just a big mistake and a laboratory mistake. I don't know how.
How would that have gone past trials and stuff?
Oh no, that wouldn't have happened. What they portrayed, just that. There's no way that would have happened.
There's no way.
No.
Let alone, Jude Law attacking you and me saying you get autism and narcolepsy from the thing of rude. But in this, that's not, obviously, nothing even close should be something to be afraid of.
No.
Because it's impossible. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't get past the rats.
This virus, the way they showed these monstrous mutant people, looks like rabies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Meredith.
That is the the final. It's only like maybe 12 hours.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Of life.
Yeah.
With rabies, because these people, they just were their brains were being chewed
corroded.
Up. Yeah, just melted.
Like mad cow, right?
Exactly, spongiform encephalitis.
Yeah. They don't become superheroes or villains or whatever. They don't have superpowers, right?
No.
That's definitely not a thing.
No, in fact,
the opposite.
I couldn't even. I was trying to figure out how people in that condition could even survive in any way.
Yeah.
And
we're being
much
nitpicky,
less
obviously, but
they moved real fast. I don't know, like
it's stupid
superpower.
Edward Cullen.
They could move extremely fast. They were very dangerous. They had, super athletic powers.
Diamond skin. Yeah.
However,
had sunlight. Yeah.
Big part of the story, they were photosensitive.
Yes.
Photophobic. They couldn't be in the sun or even in any light, probably that emitted.
Oh my God, photophobic, like vampires. I'm really on vampire.
Yeah.
Because hate sunlight, but also hate getting the photo taken because they ain't gonna show up. Wow. That's a breakthrough, scientific breakthrough if ever I heard.
So,
my only point.
A lot of viruses that cause encephalitis also cause photosensitivity.
Yeah.
Including measles.
Yeah. And I mean, and there are unfortunately, you also happen to have a lot of experience in rare diseases and everything like that. And
as a geneticist.
And they tend to be extremely unfortunate, such as
there's
allergy to
There's a disorder
sunlight.
there's a disorder. It's very rare, but you can Google it. It's very sad.
I've watched interviews. You can go to my favorite YouTube channel, special books for special kids. I never remember the name of it because I'm like, what is this name? But you keep talking now.
Well, this disorder is called xeroderma pigmentosum. It's very rare. And an individual cannot.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Special books by special kids, which is, I showed you that. I urge everyone to subscribe, watch a video or two, get some knowledge, at least support.
These are rare genetic. They call them rare genetic disorders.
Because YouTube trying to shut them down. They saying the people's natural way they were born or look is what is it? Violent imagery or something like that is messed.
Yeah, it deserves a warning.
Absolutely wrong. So anyway.
Yeah. But people with xeroderma pigmentosum, and there are very few. I've met a couple, cannot be exposed to any light that emits UV. So even some incandescent lights may be too dangerous.
My goodness.
And they can develop lesions within minutes of being exposed to bright light. That happened to someone. I mean, I met the person to whom this occurred. Happened, this was an accidental exposure, and I saw the results. But yeah, it's very sad. But it is a thing. There are people who just can't. What do you call that? They can't produce melanin. There's a word for it, but I can't think of it. And
white people,
they can't get darker from sun exposure. I mean, everybody does virtually, except these people. Some people with albinism may.
I gotta move you along, Padre.
Okay. So anyway, that was another aspect of these monsters. Which helped with the story, because then he could protect himself to some degree.
The story in this movie is solid.
Yeah.
For a movie.
It's a compelling story.
Absolutely solid.
You want to know what's going to happen.
You're very invested.
You feel bad for him. You feel bad for...
He's a wonderful actor.
You don't feel bad for the monsters because they don't seem at all human.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point.
You felt bad for the dog.
Shh. Yeah, God, the saddest scene of all time anyway. But in any case, yeah, so...
He was treating the dog with his blood.
No, you got twisted. Let's not get back into it because you don't understand. And I don't feel like going through it.
Got something wrong.
In any case, the reason that I brought up the zombie thing a little bit is, again, just for comfort. Because again, I was honestly, I don't know, because of everything going on, and also, watching Contagion and then watching this now, we go through ebbs and flows. I think everyone just naturally in this kind of time, things are scary, whatever, right? And, but the point is, and it's a really important point, is that there won't be a vaccine that will be administered to the public that could cause this kind of mishigas, okay? You know what I mean? And correct me if I'm wrong, not just obviously zombies, but also like...
No, you're right. These things can't happen. People can't evolve. Can't evolve overnight. Right.
But also, and a vaccine would not be able to get to everyone.
Well,
that could like kill the entire population, or like whatever the entire... There's so many...
Well, this was an attenuated viral vaccine. So the virus is not dead.
Right.
It's
which is really volatile.
It's live attenuated is what it's called.
Yeah.
And that's what got out.
Is that a risk they would take for something like cancer as opposed to a virus? Like, I feel like it'd be way less likely.
They would have tested it.
The trials, and
they as they show in the movie.
Yeah.
Other mammals can be infected.
Exactly.
So they would have tested it in rats.
And exactly. So, like, my point is,
And
like,
it would have made the rats sick, probably, very likely.
it did in the movie.
In the movie, it did.
You and my stepfather, Ken, both have been very experienced in clinical trials. They take forever. So, like, I'm not going to keep saying it. But just for the comfort of everyone who hasn't had the fortune of, like, you know, the best thing about movies is you impart information, blah, 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 cute nonsense, I'm going to say. But my point here is you both have done so many clinical trials, whatever. It's not a thing to be afraid of vaccines.
Not when they're done correctly. And
which they would be.
Well, the scenario they showed isn't going to happen. That can't happen.
Nor the one in Contagion.
Unless it's purposefully engineered in a laboratory.
Don't get Jude Law on me. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to tell my buddies.
No, I'm saying that is how it could happen if somebody did so intentionally.
But it's not going to happen.
Well, I hope not.
Papa, oh my God. I knew we'd get to this point. No, listen to me now. This movie, Emma Thompson is a researcher, okay?
Well,
I'm not going to talking about some kind of infiltration.
Well, if we have a proper government, this won't happen. Something like this can't happen if
but it's
we have
also not
proper government.
It's also not solely down to proper government because there's a scientific oath or whatever. What is it? Isn't there some for scientists too?
No, there's no.
There's one that's different from do no harm. What's the other one? Cause no. No, it's like do no harm, but then the scientific ethics. One is like different. Like
there's no specific. Even medical, doctors don't necessarily take a Hippocratic oath.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me.
In fact, they don't take the original Hippocratic oath says you will be faithful to Apollo.
Oh, cute.
And Diana, maybe I'm not sure, but
equality,
Greek gods.
That's sweet. So in any case, but Papa, please don't. I'm not trying to be like that. You're being a little heavy on the little extra pinch of Asperger's. I'm trying to say. Even with...
It's not going to happen.
Thank you. With the vaccinations are not dangerous, okay?
No, it wouldn't happen.
Ugh. Okay. So, anyway, talking about the movie beyond that point, we both, again, really good movie. It's still good. It was good in 2007. I was happy the CGI is bad because I was scared enough, okay? So, aside from that, I think both our favorite part, we loved the action. It was very, very clever and real. So it made his character seem more trustworthy in that way that like the writing, his arc, his behavior, his everything was like, yes, this man was the guy. Like he was basically in charge of New York City or whatever. Like it made sense that he is like a genius medical colonel, blah, 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 right? Like, credit to you, little Eagle Scout over here. Every time he was going through something, you said, oh, he should blah, blah. And then that is what he did. Can I tell you my least favorite thing about this movie? Can you guess?
Not really.
There's too much Shrek. I know people love Shrek. I know people love Shrek. And I watched it as a kid, whatever. It just hurt my ears. And it might have been because this movie's pretty, like...
Well, it was made in 2007, and Shrek was more...
It's still too much Shrek.
Visible then.
It's still too much Shrek. Shrek is very alive and well, okay? Don't get it twisted. Trust me there. But just too much for me. But that's kind of here or there. Tell me more about how you thought about we'll take a step back from the science real quick, about the movie and everything. Now, towards the end, you really lose me. The last 20 minutes, goodbye. Basically, if Will Smith had driven off that dock thing, I would have liked the movie better. You know?
Yeah. Well, he was so isolated, and he was very sad and was suicidal.
Yes. So I'm not laughing at you, but yes. No, what did you think about the movie? Just as a movie? Because you love movies. You're the one who has shown me most.
Yeah, I can watch pretty much any movie.
Nurtured my love for movies.
Like I don't think I've ever walked out on a movie
Really?
Yeah, because even
I
if I
have.
don't like the movie, I usually see something
Yeah.
worthwhile in it. Or
That's
it makes
beautiful.
makes me think about something
That's beautiful.
interesting.
Well, that's nice.
So
I've barely walked out of any movies.
yeah.
Have I walked? Yes, I must have done. Have I? Or have I just wanted to? I can't even remember anymore. I can't remember if Mummy and I walked out of Percy Jackson or we just wanted to. I think we did. But,
Yeah, there have been times I wanted to, but I didn't. But I also hardly ever went but to a movie by myself.
yeah.
So it would be rude to tell someone else, let's get out of here,
Yes.
if you don't like it. But
Oh,
maybe
that's
they
one of
do.
those annoying things. I can't remember who it was, but the person I was with and I both wanted to leave, but we didn't want to be rude and say,
You didn't tell each other.
gifted the magi, I guess. But, but what did you think about it? His acting, I think, was great. I think when Will Smith is on, he's so on,
I thought it was,
and he's always on.
I thought it was really well done. I thought I would, if it were up to me, I would have changed the story a little,
Okay,
especially the ending. I would have.
that's
made
what
it,
I'm saying.
Yeah, I would have made it a little different.
Maybe a little less Christian would be nice for my people. But anyway,
How's that?
Akiva does dirty, I guess.
What do you mean?
Well, the church thing was kind of annoying and all that, but they walk into the utopia or whatever, and there's a huge church. I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
no! I can explain that. So
Is
the
it imagery from some?
The movie ends in Vermont,
Yeah.
and they made this silly. This was one of the silly mistakes. I don't know if it's even worth calling it a mistake.
Padres from Vermont. We love Vermont.
Well, they tried.
Feel
They
the burn.
tried to say
Yeah.
that the virus
Oh my God! I'm glad you remembered to say
didn't
that
go to
was
Vermont
that
because
was
it's too cold there. That was so silly.
Could that not have been more stupid? First of
Yeah.
all, New York is basically next to Vermont. Okay,
That was
that
too
is
silly.
idiocy. Also, there are so many.
Well,
In that case, there'd be tons of people left
It's
alive.
about 250 miles from New York City
Oh my God!
well, maybe a little more, maybe 275 from New York City to Bethel, Vermont.
Have they heard of Canada?
Yeah, all of Canada should have been
What
fine.
the heck? Oh my God! Yes.
He thought he was the only survivor, and he was sending out radio broadcasts trying to find other people.
That was
But-
absolutely stupid.
Yeah, so there was a survivors community in Vermont, but presumably it wasn't because they lived in Vermont. It was because, this was a little conflated. They tried to say the virus couldn't live in Vermont.
No.
I don't know.
That wasn't, to be fair, that was her
They
character.
weren't clear.
But she was supposed to be a medical professional. She should know better, okay? And those stitches were god awful, so.
I don't think she was
know.
a medical professional.
She was. They said she was.
Did they?
I think so.
I was asking you.
And I said, I think
Is she
so.
supposed to be a nurse or a doctor? And then
She's not supposed to be a doctor. It was some kind of medical army
When I
something.
saw the sutures, I thought, there's no way she's a doctor. And then
No.
I thought, no, there's no way she's a nurse either, because anybody could do better stitches than that.
Yeah, I know. So,
Yeah.
so to be fair to the movie, that was never confirmed. Like they were
No.
never like it can't survive. Like that's so
Well,
stupid.
I'm afraid I feel this way about most movies.
Yeah.
When I've seen the movie,
Yeah.
sometimes even when I've seen it twice, I think pretty much always have thoughts that I think would have improved the movie.
But that's fun. That can spark creativity.
To improve the movie. Well, that's why I like watching the movies, because
Yeah.
I'm not usually just passively watching. I'm actively thinking about what I would do if I were making the movie.
Well, you're an inventor, so you're a scientist or whatever. So that makes sense for your personality type.
Yeah, it's my job to
I enjoy falling
think of things that
into.
other people don't.
I enjoy falling into the emotion. So
Yeah.
you know.
I found the characters believable.
Yeah.
There were only a few, so it was easier.
That's true.
But I always thought Will Smith was a good actor. I always liked him.
Yes. He's not a scientist though, Scientologist. Don't get them confused. That is pretty bad.
But they portrayed him as a pretty good scientist, as a pretty good researcher.
Yes.
And I can talk about a few random things that are
Please
memorable
do.
to me.
Please do.
Well, I liked the way he found a house on Columbus Circle, one of those mini mansions that...
You're tripping. He didn't find it. I'm telling you, he
You
lived
think he
there.
lived there? He might have. I guess
it was
he
his
might
daughter's room and everything. You just forgot for a minute. He lived there. That was his house.
Well, I didn't know how long he lived there. He said the time that it, picks up, time that's things that are happening when we start watching is supposed to be 3 years later after everybody else, virtually dies. So, yeah, I think you're right. I guess his daughter did live there. So anyway, I guess it's not really.
He's just rich.
Yeah, he must have been very wealthy.
Rich.
But he had a cool house. But one thing I noticed that he did, aside from setting up quite a sophisticated laboratory,
which is so weird,
in his basement, was he went over to the Met and picked up Van Gogh's and some. I think I saw Gauguin and some other really nice paintings that I've seen in the Met.
Yeah. You liked that?
I liked that a lot. I thought that was so good.
I liked it, and also to remember 2007. Okay, sure.
Well, it was a detail, but
We've
I just
seen
thought
it
it was
a lot
good.
since then.
And they didn't make it. They never referred to it. They didn't
That's
point
the
to
good
it at
thing.
all. It was only in the background.
That is the difference. You're right.
So I thought that was great. I liked that.
Yes.
And he had good equipment. I liked his equipment.
Okay.
And the experiments he was doing,
Stupid.
From what I could see, I couldn't really tell what the heck he was trying to do, but it looked like a lot of the, at least the way, I liked that he was wearing a camera on his eyeglasses, so he was recording everything.
I should go back. It wasn't stupid. I appreciate that they didn't try to use a bunch of those Latin words that you use that I don't know, like they did in Contagion. Like it didn't try to fake it. It was just like suspended disbelief. I like that that it wasn't like he was, saying, random words. Like when I pretend to do French, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I take it back. I like that they didn't say that stuff. Okay. Keep going.
What else? I don't know. I thought a lot of the action was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of, in some ways kind of senseless too.
Sure. I like
shooting when he was shooting.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah. This is one of your biggest problems.
He had what looked like it's an assault rifle.
Yeah.
With a regular magazine, not an extended magazine.
By the way, the Film Buds, no guns. We do not support guns.
I know about guns. I don't own any. I used to when I was a kid.
I know. I know you shot somebody.
I know how to shoot. I'm a good shot.
Or you shot, got shot.
I shot my friend with a bow and arrow by mistake.
In the heart. Like Teddy Roosevelt.
In the sternum over the heart. And I got hit with a ricochet from a .22 rifle.
Yeah, bow and arrows don't kill people.
But I'm a good marksman and I know how to shoot.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to end up in Vietnam, so
I know.
I did a lot of practicing, including with a crossbow.
Film Buds also do not support the Vietnam War. Okay, continue.
No, I didn't. I wasn't going to go.
I know.
Anyway.
Muhammad Ali. Am I right?
No, he didn't go. But that one thing that bothered me was the clip he had doesn't hold more than 32 shots. 32 rounds. It might be less even, but they showed him shooting from that rifle with that clip.
Yeah.
Something like had to be hundreds of shots.
Yeah.
And that was just, I just thought, come on.
Yeah, that's much less realistic than zombies. So
in a good most good movies they're more where that really is important. Whether
I don't know if they're more careful,
police or soldiers or whatever, they usually show them changing, reloading. I mean, it's not like they have. I mean,
I'll kind of give it to you because this movie had so many like contraptions and clever things. Like,
he made the traps that he made were pretty cool.
Yeah, a little Eagle Scout over here. I liked this movie showed the like emotional toll and like all that kind of stuff without like over the top. Like it was never over the top. But I really didn't like the end. It might just be a personal preference, but I didn't like all the. And this comes from me. I'm an emotional. I function off of emotion for better or worse, everything like that. But no matter what your beliefs are, like, God, not, whatever, like that kind of thing, that's not my point here. It's just like there's such a small scope of the movie, like the confirmation, especially like it was almost like the whole movie ended up being to use this scientist to like get faith, like disavow. Is that a word? science and be like, oh yeah. Or like something like that, kind of like they work together kind of thing, you know what I mean? Which, because of a butterfly tattoo, okay, I would go to any Midwestern state and find the nearest, I don't want to make those jokes because you're right. But anyway, my point is, I didn't like the ending. I thought the ending was so weak, and it was really good all, until then, and very, poignant and everything until then. And I just thought the ending was really kind of closed off. And again, it's not a matter of faith or anything like that, because, for instance, I don't know when this came up, but Moshe Kasher, as you know, one of my favorite comedians. You like him too, don't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
He and Natasha Leggero. But anyway, he was saying, once he talked about how he gave a toast at a wedding, and he was saying, like, no matter what you believe, like, whether fate brought them together or just like the minute chance in all this, flux and everything, either way, it's like incredible to behold, an incredible thing. And so that might have been a nicer angle than like the opposite to me. But as far as storytelling, I feel like they just really like put all their chips on one.
Yeah, I thought that was a little
on one thing.
That was kind of forced. The
Square,
reason,
whatever.
I didn't even catch when they showed the little Vermont. It's supposed to be Bethel.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even occur when they showed that scene. The church didn't even have an effect on my thinking, because every Vermont town, even the very small ones, have at least one church. Usually it's a Protestant, but sometimes, like my town, which was 256 people when I lived there, had a Catholic church and a Protestant church.
Well, you can't drive.
So it's not unusual. You see a green, a town square, and one or two churches.
I know, but I'm not being like
Every
super
town.
Annoying here. It wasn't like there was a church hanging out. It was like they opened the gate and it was a church, and the bell was ringing and the kids were running out. Okay.
That's all true. I thought that was kind of weird that they just tried to spring that on us.
It's like low-key rude because
it pretty much went over my head.
And because the lady who comes into Will Smith's life, and I guess is basically like Jehovah's Witness, and like is like, do you know about God? Whatever, like that, right? And because that's all she talks about, it's like da, 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 right? Which again, fine, but then the direction they take the movie is like, oh, well, he was a tool. She needed to get there. Why? We don't know why she needed to get there, not him. But like, it was just, it was very narrow. It became very narrow. And just kind of...
It was not a satisfying ending.
No.
I like the fact that he was working on a cure.
Yes.
And that might have come to something. I thought that was good.
Yes. Well, I guess it did.
They could have left it at that.
I guess it did. And the voiceover at the end was kind of weird, and the whole thing with the record. But anyway, so it definitely had some plot holes, but overall, I think a very entertaining movie.
For action and suspense.
It was
good.
I think it's a little dated. Like, I think a lot of the stuff now would be called tropey, like, which... the best movies, doesn't matter when you watch it. A lot of my favorite movies are old movies.
Even the CGI was kind of rough.
Yeah, that I don't really care about as much, just because that's kind of limited. But as far as the storytelling, like the martyr, like, whatever, that kind of thing. And like, I just don't, it's kind of old, It's like, it was all a dream kind of thing. Like, those aren't good endings. But anyway, what do you give it, Padre?
What do I give it?
I give it those like confetti poppers, like they're I don't know what's that called? I guess a confetti popper, right? Yeah. And so you pull the thing, it's like, and it's like the confetti, obviously, but that's like, okay. Yeah. You got to clean up the confetti off the ground, and you're like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, this took a toll on the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it, let's see. I'll give it 4 shooting stars.
Okay.
That.
Because they're done.
Now you see them.
Yep.
Now you don't.
Okay. Yes.
So pretty much like your confetti popper.
Okay. Yes. Because shooting stars are
almost the same.
Are dying.
But at least I used some stars.
Stars. Yes. Okay. I love it. Do you have any other little notes there you want to get away? You're good. This
No,
has been wonderful.
I think that's pretty much.
Is there any other education, briefly, any final things you'd like to share? Having talked about these two things, I think the biggest lesson from both these movies is not to fear, but to be proactive in the good ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, do what you can, but don't worry about the rest.
I would say,
as it were.
I would change that motto a little bit from, don't worry, be happy, to don't worry,
be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah. Don't worry, be careful.
Yeah, because it's not hard to be careful. Like we already talked about the masks.
And those really do a lot,
A visor is really helpful. It's very simple. They're not expensive.
You don't mean golf visor. You mean plastic coverings of your face by way of little headbands.
Yeah, they're the facial visor.
Yeah.
They're actually
shields or whatever you want to say.
There's one brand that's called Face Shield.
Give the name of the best mask, the N90. Well, not the best. The best one that normal people should have.
Well, you can get the best mask is an N95. It refers to particle size. And it's not the one with the release valve that you see. I don't think they're wearing them in hospitals anymore. They shouldn't if they are.
Because that's one way helpful. That's help yourself, don't help anyone else.
That helps the doctor, not the patient.
And that's not what we're about at the Film Buds.
No,
that's not useful
we
anyway.
should be about it as a society.
Yes.
If everybody wears masks, everybody is safe. Well, let me say safer. Safer. The masks haven't been tested extensively because it was never really necessary. I think some good is going to come of this because they'll probably have developed better masks.
Some good comes from everything.
Yeah,
You've learned, don't you think, Papa? You've learned that through science?
Oh, yeah.
And that's coming from...
Better to learn from other people's mistakes.
Okay, well, that's not quite what I meant.
But you certainly learn from your own mistakes.
That's not quite what I meant either. I just mean the art of science. You have seen, unfortunately, in many ways, some of the most upsetting, unfortunate, bad things this world has to offer. But I think, has there ever been something you've seen that presents zero anything that could be good, period? Like devoid of anything good?
Well, anything that's invented for good can be used the other way around too.
Papa, are you kidding me? You're really going to end with that?
But
Jesus Christy.
But that's not usually what happens.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll pretend I'm my dad for a minute, and this is the sentiment I would like to leave off with as what I meant to say, okay?
I just misunderstood you. What were you trying to say?
Anything...
Yeah, just ask me again. I just got misheard.
I should say, from my experience, including what you've told me, I know that you've seen and dealt with just very traumatic, unfortunate, just mostly darkness, right?
That's right.
But isn't it true, especially by way of science and by way of people seeing what there is and wanting better and everything like that, isn't it true that every single piece of our world, even just as far as science is concerned, has a sparkle of hope and contributing to the betterment of the future and society as a whole?
Yeah. One of my favorite ideas along those lines is the exception proves the rule. We usually find out how things work by finding out what's going on when things don't work. So if someone has a rare genetic disorder, we do everything we can to help them. But while we're at it, we find out much more about how things normally work, or they're supposed to work. And, as you know, I also believe everything exists on a spectrum.
Yes.
Every disorder.
We're all connected.
All of that. Yeah. So, so there's, there was a lot. I think the overall message was hope.
And that, hopefully, is the message of this podcast, buddies. Even though we talked about the Rona, and it's not great, but it's got sparkles of good. The situation does have spark. Not to dismiss all the sadness, but good thing.
We're figuring it out.
Phoenix from the ashes.
And we're going to learn a lot that will help us deal with future contagions,
and to help less people suffer. We'll
just get it right next time.
Things will get better
this
and better.
time, but we'll get a new government, and they'll get back to work.
We get some health care for all.
They'll get back to work with doing what is needed for public health.
Yeah.
And, government is supposed to provide a military and infrastructure, and public health is a really important aspect of government, but we don't have it in this country.
But the thing to note is a lot of people, the majority, know that
it's what the people want.
Yes.
And they know they want it.
And that's beautiful because...
And they know they're not alone when they want it.
And that is what's so important, is knowing you're not alone, right? Yeah. So even in quarantine, your ideas, traveling all around the world is beautiful. You're beautiful, Padre. You're beautiful.
I think this is actually going to bring us together more than before.
Yeah, and not in an obnoxious way.
Well, no, I think
where people just say that.
I think less polarized, because people will see the good in working together.
Yes. We're only as strong as our weakest part. So that's that, Anyway, Padre, thank you so much for being on Henry's podcast. I was happy to be here.
Well,
happy
thank
to
you
be
for
with
having
you.
me. I hope I did okay.
I think, Papa, you're always perfect, so I'm not the one to ask. But you can ask me anyway, because I'll tell you you're always perfect, except I yell at you more than probably anybody else, but you're still perfect, so.
Well, you're helpful.
Thank you, Papa.
Yeah, your advice is good.
As is yours, and that's kind of the thing.
Your advice as to dealing with people is always very good.
Thank you, Padre. Yes, because anyone who disagrees with me, I shut them up. So, anyway, we hope you had...
I've used it before, but I'll say it again, a Googleth.
A Googleth!
Which is supposed to be the highest number.
As much fun as we did. I will talk to you next time. Bye!